Happy Memorial Day, everyone, and welcome to the Spirit Side. I'm Paul James Caden, and today on the show, we're going to be talking briefly about the prophecy that became a conspiracy theory and is now being at least partially fulfilled in our modern day and age. I think this particular podcast is going to be a little bit shorter than usual because it is a holiday weekend. A lot of people don't want to dedicate, I would imagine, 30 to 40 minutes of their time listening to a show. So I figured I would get one out there for those who want to listen to make it about 15, 20 minutes. And, this is a subject I've talked, a little bit about before, but, I just think it bears repeating from the spiritual perspective. Every morning I watch about 30 minutes of news. I keep abreast of what's going on in our world through looking at the headlines, online, listening to different, more non-biased, spiritually based news programs that just talk about what's happening in the United States and across the world, without really having an agenda or pushing any political agenda or party or religion. So you really kind of get an idea of what's going on in our world. And, the thing I really want to talk about today is the idea that just a handful of years ago, pretty much every person in the United States and across the world said two things. That A, you can't trust the government, and B, you can't fully trust what our organized religious systems teach us about God. Everyone recognized that most, if not all, of our organized religious systems and denominations in Christianity are very political, and many of them have been from their inception. And a lot of people stepped back from that because they said, look, we don't think religion should be that tied up in politics. And it was understood that people said, hey, Jesus taught, my kingdom is not of this world. Of course, we're going to go out and vote. Of course, we're going to try to get honest people, in office locally and nationally. I believe that's our duty. But the more and more elections that seem to pass here in the United States and even across the world, it seems like the honest people, are getting very slim pickings, as they used to say. Not very many. There's a lot of agendas going on out there, and some countries are just having blatant takeovers by these regimes who become tyrants over the people. And it might not be that far away before that actually happens in the United States. But, I wanted to say that, everybody understood, just a handful of years ago, you really can't trust the government, at least not in its current state. And you really can't trust organized religion. The two almost go hand in hand, and the two pretty much have the same agenda, and that is to control, to manipulate, to influence their followers and their people to think a certain way, act a certain way, vote a certain way, believe a certain way. And both of them will cause division and pit human beings against one another for various reasons. You're a different political party. You're a different religion. You're a different denomination. You're a different color. They look at the differences between people and they divide. Each of them say or put out the idea that if you're not part of us, then there's something wrong with you. If you're not part of us, if you don't support our party or belong to our religion, you're wrong. And we really see that happening a lot in the United States of America and across the world. And it wasn't so very long ago, ladies and gentlemen, that everyone understood and knew that basically in the playbook of the elitists that want to bring in this new world order, this global government, this global banking system, everyone knew it was a part of their playbook to divide. The information was out there, and as far as I know, it's still out there, that it was to give the people a government that would be so corrupt and get nothing done that the people would become so frustrated that they would cry out for something new. Our politicians are too corrupt. Our politicians aren't getting anything done. Our politicians, our leaders aren't for the people anymore. We're suffering. The nation is suffering. Please give us someone who will help us in something that will work. And part of that agenda was the division of the people through politics, through race, because they know united we stand and divided we fall. That statement will always hold true. And we knew this. We knew this was part of the game plan. We knew that straight out of their playbook, their strategy to get what they want was to divide the people, destroy the family, cause civil unrest, political division, people at one another's throats, people protesting in the streets, people beating one another up, people killing one another. And look what's happening. Look what's happening in our world. Look what's happening in the United States right now. The same people who knew this information. You can't trust the government. You can't trust fully our organized religious systems. Knew the strategy from the elitist playbook, how they were going to do this. And yet there's so many of them falling right into the hands of these individuals. Clamoring after politicians. So many individuals were sucked into the QAnon movement. Giving them information that never came to pass, yet they still believe it, and they will fight you to tell you that it's true. Donald Trump is still some kind of savior. He's still going to come back into power. He's going to save the United States. He's going to save the world by, making it a better place. All these religious leaders were claiming to have visions of Donald Trump sitting at the right hand of God. And how many people followed all of that mind poison and still do? The same people that knew and understood you can't trust the government. They have an agenda, and part of their agenda is A, B, and C. And in a heartbeat, in the snap of your fingers, here they are clamoring after politicians, clamoring after political parties, rallying around these, if you want to call them ministries and television, televangelists, whom again we all know you can't trust those guys. You know, maybe in the beginning there were some that had integrity, putting their church services on TV, but over the years, I mean, this thing has just spiraled. And we have people gathering around these individuals, following like troops, getting in line to take their next orders from somebody like a Pat Robertson or a John Hagee or, whoever it might be. And a lot of people have been sucked in to the illusion. They've been sucked into the delusion. They've been sucked right in to the elitist plan. And they're playing a very big part in that plan. I've said for a very long time now, I believe that the modern day truth movement, all these people saying that they're woke, I believe the people who started that movement, if you want to talk about people who are planted to spread propaganda and false information and get the people who would become followers to follow after them, I believe this modern day truth movement is nothing more than propaganda. It's a lie, and it's a red herring to get everybody's mind off of what the truth really is. And by the time this whole movement is done, no one's even going to believe that there is an agenda anymore. And that makes their job a lot easier to fulfill. Because this thing has grown, the modern day truth and woke movement has grown into such delusional proportions that the truth is getting lost. And if you mention these things to anybody, what the real truth is about agendas and one world order and, what the elitists would like to do and what their long-term plan is to bring in their globalist system, people let's look at you like you have two heads. Oh, you're one of those conspiracy people. Yeah, okay. Because if you get fanatical enough, if you get nutty enough, people won't even believe the truth that is beneath all of the nuttiness. And that, ladies and gentlemen, I believe is exactly what is happening in our world today. How could it be that someone, and what else did we know just a handful of years ago, that you can't trust everything you hear on the internet? And then Q comes along, somebody we don't even know who the hell this idiot is. And I use that term idiot very freely because everything he or they, whoever they are or whoever he is, said, none of it happened. Setting all these dates, but yet this faceless individual with a letter for his name or they, whoever they are, started posting on a forum, failed in so many things that they put out there that they said were going to happen, or he said was going to happen, but people still follow it religiously. Q is going to change the world. Well, he certainly is, because he's turning people's minds into mush, blindly following a faceless individual or individuals from the internet that no one even knows who they are, who he is, fed them a bunch of lies, but they'll still fight you that this person told them the truth. Because that's how religious and even social cults work. get the people in so deep they can't find their way out, and they don't want to, because they've invested so much time and energy and effort into this movement that it's just scary to think about exiting it, because what's next? Where do we go for truth? And see, that's the problem, ladies and gentlemen, that I've always said. 5 years ago, 4 or 5 years ago, when I started podcasting, everybody running around looking for a leader, someone to tell them what the truth is going to lead a lot of people into a whole lot of trouble. And it has. And it's making the elitist job much more easy. They just keep putting on the political theater, watching everybody go at one another's throats, everybody jumping through hoops, everybody thinking everything is a conspiracy, spinning everything so out of control, so out of the realm of reality that we're practically living in a dream world at this particular time. And while we're all at one another's throats, believing in all this nonsense and following faceless groups on the internet, and watching bozos on YouTube tell us how, the signs of the end of the world are embedded in TV commercials and Hollywood movies, with all of their numerology and crazy nonsense that doesn't even make sense. While we're all being hypnotized by that, the lie, the illusion, the delusion, the fanaticism. Well, the elites just easily go about their plan, doing what it is they want to do to accomplish what they want to accomplish. And at the rate we're going, this is eventually going to reach a boiling point. And it's going to get a lot worse. And that's when they step in and say, look, we need to reinvent government. We need to reinvent what human rights are. Because this isn't working anymore. Look at what we're doing. Look at all the mass shootings in America. And in the midst of all of that, now here's something. I mean, please tell me that there's people out there with eyes to see and ears to hear that Texas is about to pass a law that people can carry unlicensed guns with very little background check. The Republicans are for it. And those who support the Republicans, yay, our right to bear arms. Go Republicans. And you don't see what that is set up to do. And I think there's 3 or 4 other states that are following suit with that. You don't see what that is set up to do. More chaos, more gun violence, more people dying, more crime, more civil unrest, adding to the boiling point. You don't see how the Democrats sit there and go, oh my God, something's got to be done, but they don't do anything. And the Republicans sit there and go, nothing needs to be done. We need to protect the Second Amendment. So neither side does anything, and we pass all these, poised and ready to pass these kooky laws, and we don't see what's going on. We're still waving our little political flag. Yay, go Republicans. Yay, go Democrats. And we'll fight our beliefs and our political views and our twisted warp ideology right to the bitter end as we play into the hands of these people, and all hell eventually breaks loose. So we'll just all keep going forward, fighting, supporting who we think the good guys are and what the right way is and what the truth is. And when all this hits a wall, we'll sit there and wonder, well, how did this happen? Oh, we were supposedly woke. We supposedly knew the truth. How did this slip right under our noses? And we'll make excuses that our own ignorance and blindness was not responsible for it. And we won't have the courage to realize that we played right into the hands of these people, because many are. And there's very few now that actually sit back and look at what's happening and know what's happening. And therefore, what many call the beast system will be rising very shortly. And there we have the prophecy that became a conspiracy theory that is now being fulfilled before our very eyes, and many people are playing the part that they're supposed to play right now. They're being manipulated. They're being indoctrinated into the social, political, pseudo-religious cults. And they think in the end they're going to store up enough food and have enough guns to blast their way out of it all. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I got news for those people. That's not going to work. You don't think that the elitists know that there's a bunch of people with their long beards and, camo pants and, camo baseball caps on their head, sitting out there with their, semi-automatic rifles. Hey, come around here, I'm going to blow their ass off. You don't think they know where those people are, what they're storing up, what kind of weapons they have, and how actually incapable most of them probably are when it comes to facing a real army with real technology. They know. And the good old boys aren't going to be making a stand with their Q flags and their Trump flags and, whatever it is else they want to fly, thinking, these people have just been duped. And the masterminds have them right where they want them. And you can believe that or not, but that day will come at the rate we're going. And it's going to be a sad day or a rude awakening for many people. Because what they call the beast system, it's rising. Right now it's the birth pangs. And eventually it will be full grown in our world, maybe sooner than later. Because we're just making mess after mess and mistake after mistake, believing delusion after delusion. As I said over and over in this show, just playing right into their hands. So, folks, I said I wasn't going to make this a full 30 minutes or more. I'm going to zip my lip now and just leave all of this for each and every one of you to think about, because it's our individual choice what we do with this information and what we do with what's happening in the world right now. Are we really woke? Or are we in a dead sleep just following our chosen Pied Pipers? And we have no idea where we're going until it's too late. I thank you for listening. Until next time, stay safe, stay well, and I really hope that you will ponder these things. Because it's not a joke, ladies and gentlemen. Things are really in a pitiful state, and it's only going to get worse. And those who think they have the truth, those who think they're enlightened, those who think they're awake, they're not helping anybody, and they're not helping themselves. They're, in fact, probably making the situation worse. We just have to take an honest, objective look to see that that's reality. So again, I thank you for listening. Stay in the light. Keep your minds open as well as your eyes. And I'll talk to you next time here on the Spirit Side.